There is a lot of uncertainty right now in the economy and in the housing market. A lot of people are talking about a recession and a housing crash. I'm going to give you some information that's going to give you a different perspective of what's going on right now. Once you see what I've uncovered, you're going to be much better prepared to know what to do. Before I share it with you, I want to be clear on this. I am a realtor here in the Austin area, and although I would love to help you out if you're thinking about buying or selling real estate, I am not here to convince you of anything. Whether or not you think now is a good time to buy a house is entirely up to you. My goal is to simply share some information that I've discovered. My hope is that this information is going to help you make better decisions if you're thinking about buying or selling real estate. Let me start with some information that you've probably already seen. This is the most recent Austin Board of Realtors report for the Austin housing market. You'll notice there was a 12% decline in the median price and nearly a 500% increase in the number of active listings. This pattern is the same in the city of Austin, but the percentages are a little different. A 6% decline in the median price and almost a 400% increase in the number of active listings. Now from this, we might assume that prices are going down because there's not enough buyers willing to pay the prices that the sellers are asking for these houses. We can say this because not only are prices coming down, but there are so many houses that are still unsold. It really wasn't that long ago when houses would sell almost as soon as a listing agent would put the sign in the yard. There is no doubt that it is much harder to sell a house in the Austin Metro, and sellers have responded by offering concessions and price reductions. But what everybody really wants to know is this: if prices are coming down because there's not enough buyers willing to pay what the sellers are asking for these houses, does this mean that prices are going to continue to come down? That's exactly where the data I told you about earlier comes into play. You see, these Board of Realtor reports look at the sales activity in a specific month, and they compare it to the same period in the previous year. Now this can be useful, but what it doesn't give you is a sense of the trends over time. What I've done is graph the median price from October 2019 to February 2023. The blue line is the city of Austin, and the other one is the entire Austin Metro. You can see that around February 2021, prices took off. And the same thing happened a year later, right around the same time period. These prices peaked last summer at $550,000 in the Metro and $667,000 for the city of Austin, and they've been trending downward ever since. Now, most people blame the rising mortgage rates for this decline in sales, and they did have a huge impact. If you're applying for a mortgage, for every single percentage point that the interest rate goes up, you will qualify for 10% less, which means that as these mortgage rates increased, buyers were approved for less money. And in some cases, they were priced completely out of the market. If the new approval amount was less than the price of the house, then that buyer couldn't buy that house. But another thing to keep in mind is that the primary reason that these mortgage rates have increased is because of the aggressive policies of the Federal Reserve. Now, we all know that the Federal Reserve rate does not directly impact mortgage rates, but it was the catalyst that started all this. Let's start with this question. Why did the Federal Reserve start raising interest rates in the first place? To combat inflation, right? We have seen 6, 7, 8% year-over-year inflation, but the Federal Reserve's target is 2%. In other words, 2% is good, but 6% is not. This is similar to appreciation in real estate because over time, real estate values go up. In fact, we expect them to. So it's not a bad thing that real estate values go up. It's just that if they go up too fast, too quickly, it causes some problems, like affordability. If homes become too expensive, people stop buying. And when they stop buying, the housing market comes to a standstill, which is exactly what's happened over these last several months. Do you remember those Board of Realtor reports I showed you earlier when we saw 400% and 500% increase in the number of active listings? More houses are sitting unsold because the combination of high home prices and high interest rates means that a lot of buyers can't afford to buy the house that they want. So if too much appreciation stalls the housing market, and some appreciation is expected, what is a healthy appreciation rate on home values? In other words, there's some kind of baseline or guide like the inflation rate where 2% is good but 6 isn't. We know that the 20 to 30% that we saw during the pandemic housing boom is not sustainable. But prior to COVID, the Texas average was between 3 and 5%. For our example today, let's pick a percentage that is better than average but is not excessive. Let's say 6%. Who wouldn't be happy with a consistent year-over-year home value appreciation of 6%. So here's the question. What would that median price have looked like if the pandemic had never happened, and instead we had seen consistent 6% year-over-year appreciation growth in home values? Would you like to see a graph of what that looks like? Well, before we do, let me say this. I make these videos to give you information so that you can make better decisions when you buy or sell real estate. But the only way I'll know is if you like them or find them useful is if you put a comment on the video, like the video, or subscribe to my channel. Also, if you think about buying or selling real estate here in the Austin area, I would love to help you out. You can shoot me a text or email or schedule a phone call on the YouTube channel page. But enough about that. Let's look at what home values would look like if COVID never would have happened and the Austin Metro would have seen a consistent 6% year-over-year rate of appreciation in home values. Here is the Austin Metro. The actual median price in February of 2023 was $436,419. And if we had maintained a 6% year-over-year appreciation rate, we would have been at $443,822. The city of Austin is currently slightly higher than the 6% forecast. The actual median is $530,000, and the projected would have been $511,238. But take a look at the actual median between October 2022 and February 2023. It's almost a straight line, which might mean that prices are beginning to stabilize. How you interpret this is entirely up to you. But what this says to me is that the increased mortgage rates may have accomplished what they were supposed to have done. They may have moved home prices back to where they should be. Now, some of you may still be convinced the Federal Reserve is being too aggressive and they're going to push the economy into a recession. Everybody likes a little gloom and doom. And since nobody really knows what's going to happen in the future, technically that is possible. But let me ask you this. How much time did you spend this past month worrying about the banking crisis? Now, if you had money on deposit in the Silicon Valley Bank, yeah, you legitimately might have concerns. But even the ones who had tens of millions of dollars on deposit, which was well above the FDIC insured amount, they all got their money back, didn't they? Why do we spend so much time worrying about things that haven't even happened yet? Not to mention that if we worry about something that hasn't even happened yet, don't you think it might have been more productive if you would have spent that time doing something else? Speaking of which, if you'd like to know more about the 3 biggest fears in the current Austin housing market, you might want to check out this video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell. That way you'll get a notification every time I post a new video.